She has played the theremin in elevated places.
Well, I heard this sound, and it sounded from another planet, and I knew that this was the instrument that I wanted to play.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's hear it for Miss Hypnotique and this wonderful company.
Hi, I'm Susi O'Neil, Head of B2B Brand Content at Kaspersky. My job is about taking our brand and communicating that to every business audience. It's pretty broad. We're a cybersecurity company, and our customers could be literally any business that uses IT technologies. Everything from a small barbershop in Italy right through to an industrial works in Uzbekistan. And my job is to get people who may not necessarily care about cybersecurity or have heard of Kaspersky and get them more aware about the value that we can bring to them. We do this through a number of videos and publications. I'm the editor of our e-business magazine, Secure Futures, which really helps the executive audience to understand some of the issues about technology, where they should be making their investment, what new technologies are on the horizon that they should know about as business execs, and also talking about the role of cybersecurity and safety within that. Some people ask me what are the challenges of working with B2B communications. I think there's a lot of myths in B2B marketing. One of them is that you have to be very straight if you're dealing with business audiences. It's all about complicated data sheets and PowerPoint presentations with lots of charts. Actually, communicating with business audiences is quite simple. You have to be simple. Make things very straightforward for people to understand. Talk to them like they're human beings. Everybody goes home and watches movies and talks to their friends on Facebook and Instagram. So you should also think about being slightly more formal, of course. But you don't need to be very, very dull when you talk to business audiences. You really have to get to the heart of why they would care. So another myth is that people say that business audiences are really busy and everything has to be incredibly short and to the point. Not true. It's all about relevancy. The average person scrolls through the entire length of the Statue of Liberty in the average day, and that was a study from I think 2014 that Facebook did. It's probably far more now. It's not about being busy, it's about getting people to care. Can you say something that makes their life and their working life easier? Can you give them something that's going to make them look great to their boss or help solve that problem that's been keeping them up at night? It's all about relevancy. So when we think about business communications, we have to think about everything in the round. It's not just about the format or the audience or the message, it's everything together. The medium is very important. I really believe in Marshall McLuhan's statement in the 1960s that the medium is the message. You have to make sure everything you do is relevant to the formats of the time, whether that's taking advantage of the latest trends like LinkedIn polls or news stories, or actually thinking about the way people receive things. If you're sitting at home, you might be responsive to a business message on Facebook, but you're actually thinking more about your family. So perhaps talking about leadership or more warm qualities on that channel would work a lot better to reach your business audience. Messaging is of course super important. Can you talk about something that I will actually care about? Particularly in the times today with coronavirus, being relevant is more important than ever because people have got a lot of concerns about their family, about their livelihood, about whether their business will survive. So if you have something that you can genuinely bring out to help people in those times, that's a really important thing to do. So if you have something at hand that really would help those audiences get through those difficult times, whether that's just a positive or humorous message or whether that's an actual product or service that can help them, bring that forward. It's not just about pushing your products, it's about thinking about how you can show your audiences you really care. So when the coronavirus happened, we went back as a team and looked at some of our content to see how it could be made more relevant. We'd already published a lot of stories and videos about remote working, but we adapted these to make them super relevant to the particular conditions of what's happening now. We went out to our business and interviewed people about some of the specific security challenges. that people could face right now. And we also went slightly wider to see how we could help people work from home in these new times. So being an expert isn't always about having all the knowledge yourself as an individual or even as a company. It's about how you can collaborate and share. Part of being known as an expert is about widening your circle of influence. So for example, I once worked with a big international company who were a fabric conditioner brand, but they wanted to become known as a scent. So we took them on a journey by talking about the products that you get in your home and how you can make your home a more beautiful smelling place to make that transition from a fabric conditioner to perfume. So at Kaspersky, we're experts in cybersecurity, but we don't know about all technologies that are happening in the world. So we regularly make videos and articles with business and technology experts, get their opinions, use their expertise. We also partnered with experts in psychology to look at how remote working could challenge leaders and how they could be better at managing their teams during this crisis. I'm inspired by the things that I, as a consumer, see and experience around me. Actually, one form of bringing that creativity in for me is all about procrastination. I actually know certain times of the working day, particularly early in the morning, because I'm much more of an afternoon, evening person, I'm not at my best. So to ease into the day, I do my planning and then I start to read around. I look at all the newsletters that have come in, some art, some personal, some business, and I draw inspiration and look at some of those videos and campaigns. I look at the awards and see what work has won, and you can steal a lot of great ideas by seeing the great work that's out there. Another channel I found very helpful for creative inspiration is actually LinkedIn. People update their status updates, usually with really positive stories about things that they've seen or work or projects they're really proud of. It's not got a lot of the negativity that other channels tend to have right now. So it's a great place for you to share your inspiration, but also draw that inspiration from others. Creative process is about 2% about ideas, 98% about perspiration, production and delivery. It's very difficult creating B2B content at an enterprise level. There's many stakeholders, there's many things that will stop you on your tracks and stop you from achieving it. You have to be very, very persistent and also super organised. Once you've come up with that great creative idea, no matter how many people you've got to work with, you've got to go through lots of stages of crafting and approval to get that to an audience. Be very methodical and be very persistent to make sure that things get signed off so you can get things out in the world. It can be quite frustrating when you're trying to act quickly, like for a social media channel. You have to make sure that everybody in that sign-off process is queued up and understand how quickly they need to react to things. But for other types of content, let it breathe a little bit. It's about a craft as well. It needs time and it needs feedback. So allow that time in the process to make sure that all stakeholders get to review as well. I've actually been doing music since I was 4 years old, and I studied a degree of music, studying both classical and electronic music composition. I also went on to play in bands, touring, doing radios and having record deals. So for me, music is more than just a passing interest, it's a real passion. I've been playing the theremin for about 20 years, and this was a real game changer for me. The theremin is a unique instrument. It was invented in 1920 in Moscow by Leon Theremin. Leon Theremin was sent out of the USSR to proletize the power of Soviet electrification, and he travelled to Europe and USA as well. He's a great inventor and his life story is fascinating, but the instrument itself is more fascinating. You play it without touch. It's extremely difficult to craft tunes from. You can either follow a very structured approach to playing or also very free form, so it allows different forms of expression. The theremin has allowed me to travel all over the world and meet some fascinating people. It's taught me the importance of being international in your outlook. I've played with a 20-piece theremin orchestra in Japan. I've toured around the Amazon and other parts of Brazil with my theremin, and I have theremin playing friends in USA and, of course, the home of the theremin in Moscow too. When you have an interested in something very niche, it teaches you have to reach out to many people to be part of that community. So you can't live with prejudice, you have to be part of that international community. The Theremin also taught me other life lessons. I was once asked to audition for a TV talent show called Britain's Got Talent. They have these big panel talent shows all over the world. It was a very long day, everyone was very hot. I was sat next to all day this dancing dog. And then when it came for my time to audition, both the audience and I were very tired. As soon as I walked onto the stage, the audience began to boo and hiss. But still I had to perform and be very dignified. Theremin is an instrument which you have to have mastery and control to play the melody. And I did the performance. The celebrity panel said they really loved it and put me forward in the competition. So it taught me a lot of lessons that day about performance. You have to be your best. You have to just put your best foot forward, even in adverse conditions. I recently interviewed a driver with the Ferrari team, which is Kaspersky sponsor, and he told me the same. You have to be 100%, give it your all that moment to be successful. But it also taught me bravery. You have to believe in what you're doing, even when the odds are against you. Now, I hope this situation doesn't happen to you when you're doing a presentation at a conference, but the equivalent might be when people start scrolling down their phones or opening up their laptops during your presentation. And once again, it's all about attention. How can you grab their attention? How can you get them to care about your performance or your message at that moment in time? When you're creating business content, and particularly for enterprises, sometimes you have to go against the grain. It's all about telling people things they already know, otherwise they probably would have already bought your product. Sometimes you have to try different techniques and be brave, be adventurous, try different things and see what works. We've recently created some videos where we showed the importance of how you can travel securely by using cybersecurity. And we also made some videos with a yoga training organisation in Bali who are using new technology in different ways. So we're creating a parallel between their technology and also our security. You have to put it out there and try and see whether it does capture that attention, whether it does work or not. Be prepared to test and learn basically all the time. If you don't have a big audience or a big media budget, one of the things you can do is audience testing. So when we launched our magazine Secure Futures, we didn't know whether the things we'd created were good, bad or indifferent. So I got a panel of our actual audience, so IT leaders and other C-suite decision makers, and they took part in a special online research program where they shared their opinions in real time about the content they were seeing and how they felt about it. And this taught me so much. I could see instantly from the videos they produced whether the materials that we'd crafted we thought were very clever, sometimes they didn't understand, and sometimes very simple things really spoke to them and they felt were relevant to them. So it taught you an awful lot from a fairly small amount of people. And you could even do the same types of research yourself, perhaps with short one-to-one interviews or online surveys. So really getting to know your audience and putting your content in front of them and being prepared to act on the lessons from what they say about it. Now, I really believe that anybody can become a creative. It's not a unique craft or some strange, mysterious discipline. Your creative agency may love you to believe that and they will charge you a lot of money to come up with ideas. But actually, anyone can come up with ideas, and yours might be just as valid as anyone else's, because you might be closer to the consumer and less involved in the jargon world of marketing. So for example, if you're an IT leader and you've been recently promoted to the board, you might be making decisions on a new website design or a new brand campaign. Don't leave those decisions to the marketing professionals. Come with a point of view. Look and observe around you and analyse why you feel certain things. If a piece of content made you stop on your social media scroll, or you took a second look at an advert and felt something in that moment, be instinctive. Why was that? Go back and analyse it. Was it the colour, the wording, the imagery that captured your attention? Did it say something to you about something that's important to you right now in your life? Was it timely? By analysing, you can start coming up with a point of view about what good looks like for you as an individual. 3 tips for creating amazing B2B content. Tip number 1, Look all around you. See what makes you stop in your tracks. What's different and distinctive in advertising? And take those ideas, boil them down, steal them, and use them in your own way. Tip number 2, it's all about the edit. If you're creating video or written content, you need to go out and do your content creation relatively quickly, gather a lot of materials, cut and paste if you're doing research, and then spend 70% of your time crafting it. If you can work with a great independent editor who can see things from new perspectives, all the better. If you can't, just be ruthless. Take out shots and scenes that don't add any value or say the same thing twice. Take out unnecessary words and really focus about the craft to get your message across in as few words as you possibly can. Tip number 3, it's all about the relevancy. Fish where the fish are. Promote things on channels and websites that your audience are already reading and using, and come out with content that's really relevant, that helps make their lives better, that makes your audience look better in front of their boss. If you can really move people, they'll stop, they'll listen, they'll click, and they'll spend time with your content, and who knows, they might even buy from your brand. And that's how you become a B2B content superstar brand.